Dwight?
Magandang hapon sa iyo, John, at magandang hapon sa iyo, Congressman Rodge. Kamusta po kayo?
Good afternoon po, Dwight, and to everyone watching today. Thank you for asking. Okay naman po kami. We're getting ready for the trial later on, so nag-aabang na po.
Congressman, you're the youngest member, if I'm not mistaken, of the public prosecution team. Before I ask you about what are we expecting today, how has this role, being the public prosecutor, changed your life?
It's definitely a large responsibility, I'd say. But it's a great opportunity to learn, and more important, it's a great opportunity for us to be of better service. You know, when we're elected, we are usually our primary advocacy would be for our constituencies. But when we have something of national significance such as this, it really feels like we're really being part of something bigger. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Congressman, I think the prosecution is in high spirits after the court ruling yesterday in favor of the prosecution's request to subpoena the financial documents of the Vice President. How important is this, siguro, crucial win for the prosecution?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, I don't want to call it a win, no, to be two-sided, but it's definitely a win for the country. Because as we said, you know, when we came into this trial, the whole point was to bring out the truth. Whether the evidence would be good for us or bad for us, it's irrelevant. It's just about getting the truth. For the longest time po, we were looking for the answers, no? I'm sure, Dwight, you're with us in the House, no? You understand the history there, from Appropriations Committee to the Good Gov Committee to the Quad. There were a lot of questions that were left unanswered, but finally now we'll be able to get those answers. And the approval or the issuance of the subpoena is a big step towards that. Because we have to remember, the records that are being subpoenaed here, these are the primary evidence, primary documentary evidence that we would need to establish what Kong Chel was calling the bigger picture po, no? So yeah, this is a great development for the prosecution and for the country.
Congressman, can the defense still appeal this decision by the impeachment court, and how are you preparing for that?
Well, as far as we know, once the subpoena is issued, that's that. Generally, in normal courts, if subpoena is issued and they believe that there's grave abuse of discretion, they would go to a higher court. But it is of our opinion, or maybe mine personally, I don't want to drag the whole prosecution into this, but it's my opinion that as a constitutional body, the impeachment court is the final say when it comes to this matter. So I'm not sure if there will be any other recourse for the defense.
Congressman, may dalawang kumpanya na hindi nasama doon sa approved subpoena request ng prosecution. Ito yung JTC Group of Companies, pati Pikimong Philippines Corporations. Does that have an impact at all sa magiging kaso ng prosecution dahil may dalawang kumpanyang hindi nasama doon sa subpoena request ninyo?
Well, of course, I'd like to speak more at length about that, but because it was excluded, I think it would be best not to pry into the specifics of why we actually sought the subpoena of these two companies. But so much to say that I don't think it would affect the general position of the prosecution. The bulk of the documentary evidence would have been in the other companies anyway, as of our opinion, no? Based on the records that we initially had. So in sum, it would not really be a detriment to the prosecution. Although, of course, more evidence, more information brings out, you know, more truth to the matter. But no, I don't think it would affect us much.
Congressman, how about yung absence of the foreign currency deposits doon sa approved subpoena ng impeachment court? What is the prosecution's appreciation or reading doon sa naging desisyon na yon ng impeachment court?
I think it's very fair, and as we've observed and kind of expected, it's based on not really jurisprudence, based on precedent already. I think if we look back and recall in the case of Justice Corona, Chief Justice Corona, the foreign deposit, the foreign denominated accounts were also excluded. So it's no surprise there. Of course, the same with the two companies that we were talking about earlier. More information, more evidence, more truth. But it wouldn't affect this case.
Okay. Congressman, does the prosecution expect any more roadblocks, obstacles in actually accessing these financial documents? I think one of the issues for example, will the BIR actually hand over these documents, or will they seek presidential authority. Where does the prosecution stand on that? Or is that something na inaasahan yung magiging balakid para ma-turn over itong mga dokumentong ito sa impeachment court?
Well, it's important to put this in the right frame of, in right context. No, where the journey is far from over. What was issued, this is a subpoena, is only for the production of the documents. As presiding officer Escudero mentioned, the entities that are being subpoenaed are being made to produce the documents, but it does not necessarily mean that the documents would be admissible. That's another
Debate.
matter to be taken up by the impeachment court at the proper time. So I think that's another, not really a roadblock, but it's another step that we have to do later on. And I think dun po papasok in bagit nyo, Dwight, no? When we're talking about the president, whether allowing it or if there's another step that the BR chief has to do, I think this would now come into the admissibility of the evidence, which will be considered later on. So yeah, it's we still have a long way to go, but it's definitely in the right direction.
If it comes down to that, Congressman, do you think the president should issue a presidential authorities to exercise his presidential authority so that the impeachment court can have these documents?
Well, I don't think I would like to comment because that would be a position that should be better, stated as for the whole group. But definitely, we do believe that these documents have to be produced and admitted when it is, at the proper time. We have discussed about the courses of actions, but as far as we are concerned, I think having submitted for the subpoena is just the step that's needed from the prosecution, and it's up to the executive already if they're going to comply.
Let's talk about, Congressman, what's going to happen this afternoon. The House, covering the prosecution, I noticed that the House has been sort of like hyping up yung magiging testimonya ni NBI Director Melvin Matibag this afternoon. Of course, you cannot discuss the merits of the case, but siguro maybe a teaser, can we expect Director Matibag to maybe provide further clarity on the identity of the hetman? Bakit saan nanggagaling yung excitement or anticipation ng prosecution?
Well, thank you, Dwight, for, you already anticipate my conservative interpretation of sub judice. But yeah, I don't think I could speak as to the, the merits of what we could expect. I think it would be better to wait for the presentation of Attorney Matibag later on by the prosecution. But I guess what I can say is what the hype, as you say, that's generated around Director Melvin, I think is because of, the prelude to this, the personalities involved. It's we are not, how do we say this? We're not blind to the facts that are surrounding, Director Matibag. It's not coming out of the void. So all of those circumstances taken together would add to that hype. But more so, just to answer, more related to the trial, I think what's important to note is that previously the witnesses that were presented would have certain limits. They would say it's not within their office, it's not within their unit. Now we're talking about the head of the NBI, so I think that would give you an idea as to the scope to which that he can testify.
So for our viewers, it's because when Jerry Melotoc faced the witness stand, or took the witness stand last week, he was speaking in behalf of the Cybercrime Division, and now Matibag will be speaking on behalf of the entire agency. Anyway, Congressman Rodge, how will the prosecution's case be affected, impacted, if at all, by the rift between Director Matibag and some of the senator judges? Of course, one of them is Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Does that concern the prosecution?
I wouldn't say it's a concern for us, but definitely I think we wouldn't want to speculate as to how personal relationships or personal circumstances or other circumstances outside of the scope of the trial would affect it. But we do trust and we do respect our senator judges, and we do trust that whatever would be brought up would be in line with their duty to the impeachment court and to the public.
Procedurally, Congressman, can he be cited in contempt? Can the impeachment court do that?
I think yes, if ever it comes to the powers of the impeachment court. Number one, they have the supplementarian nature, the rules of the Senate, which does provide for contempt. But number two, I think inherent to any court is its self-preservation powers of contempt. So I do think that is a power that they have.
Congressman, what does it say about the impeachment court when personal issues are brought up to the court, to the floor? Because I think that was also a discussion at the start of the trial yesterday.
Well, I think personally it speaks a lot about how this is a democratic and political process after all, we don't exist in the vacuum. The prosecution, for example, we come here, we aren't just prosecutions picked out of nowhere, we're from the House. And likewise, the senator judges, they are senators. So there's still a very political process to it. And I think this is it just shows democracy is alive and well. So, but we do trust, again, like I said, we do trust and respect. We do respect and trust that the senator judges will, faithfully comply with their duty to the impeachment court, and that they would take this matter both in the ruling and how they conduct themselves. They will do it very fairly.
Okay. Congressman, I'll now toss it over to John. Maybe John has a few questions for you, Congressman. John?
Yes, Congressman Rodge, thanks for making time for us. Congressman, did the prosecution have any inkling at all about the sweeping ruling? It looked like when the presiding officer took out his prepared speech, he had obviously prepared it even before the continuation of the oral arguments, the interpellation yesterday. Did you have any inkling at all that it would be like this?
Well, Sir John, I can't speak for the rest of the prosecution, but I don't think we had any inkling. In fact, I personally was, really anticipating the pronouncement of the presiding officer. But what I can say regarding that prepared paper, I think my thought automatically was this is because of the caucus. I think they have a way of dealing with these things that would, that would preserve the integrity of the court, and I think that's why, based on their practices in the Senate, which they apply here now, if there are points that they feel would be highly contentious, they have a caucus. So I think, I really think that that has something to do with that.
Kong Rodge, there's a lot of talk now about how well Kong Chel Jokno did yesterday. Can you tell us if he will be the one to present these documents when it comes time to for that article of impeachment?
Sir John, as much as I'd like to say, well, number one, as much as I want to say it, I don't think I can. I don't think I'm in a position. And number two, though, these things are in flux. We've seen it already with the list of witnesses. Sometimes we present, sometimes we choose not to. In the same way, the prosecutor who would present it in the same way is also in flux. So wala pa pong solid na assignment that I could speak of.
Sorry, Kong Rodge, one last question. What about Melvin Matibag, the director of the NBI? Who will present him as a witness? Will it still be Attorney Ligutan or will it be someone else?
As much as I want to say it, Sir John, I think it's best that we just wait for the trial later on. I apologize, really.
Okay, thank you for heightening our expectations for what will come later. Thank you very much, Kong Rodge Gutierrez, with our multimedia reporter in the Senate, Dwight De Leon. Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Kong Rodge.